Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Aquaponics World. And today I wanted to discuss with you why it is that I've chosen to start this channel, why it's so important to be looking into aquaponics as a solution for growing. So I'll just start off with little movement that's been going on the internet. Someone that I follow on the internet, Sad Haguru, has started a hashtag save the soil, hashtag save the soil. And so basically what I did for a couple of years was I went to college to learn about environmental horticulture, and got myself a certificate in environmental horticulture as well as a certificate in turf grass management. And I got a couple more classes, and I'll have my associate's degree in both of those fields as well. So one of the major things that they teach about in those fields is soil. So soil is a non-renewable resource. And when I say non-renewable, it's basically meaning that it takes thousands of years to create soil, the type of soil that you need to grow fruits, vegetables, and those fruits and vegetables and things like that that you grow are what feeds your animals. So in other words, without soil, there won't be any food. And we have been worried about, things like fossil fuels. Of course, those are non-renewable. Things like water. Once we run out of water, we're not going to get any more. But the reality is that we have plenty of water. Okay, they've come up with ways to take the salt out of salt water, and so it will be usable. We've found other ways to have energy, such as solar panels. So basically, the one major non-renewable resource that we have is soil. And it's very important. We run out of soil and we all starve to death. And the thing about soil is that people used to farm with animals on their farm, and those animals would help them to plow the field and things like that. So those animals would actually be helpful in the process of adding organic material to the soil. So that organic material I'm talking about is animal poop. The animal poop adds organic matter to the soil, which makes it it makes it easier to grow things in it. So basically what happened when we stopped using animals and started using farm equipment, our soil began to do something called desertification. Now, desertification is when you don't have organic matter in your soil. So the organic matter helps to keep the soil together, and so there's different types of soil, and one of those types of soil is sand. So basically like a desert. And that's why they call it desertification, because it turns your good working soil into sand. And some soils hold water better. So those are like your loams. It's called a loam, which is kind of a mixture of soils and organic matter that makes it so that you can add water to your plant and it just kind of sits there and it allows the plant to drink the water. Sand, on the other hand, when you pour water into sand, it goes right through it. The plant doesn't have the opportunity to absorb the nutrients through the water, and so therefore the plants can't grow. So what happens is that after years and years of not adding organic matter to your farms, you end up with a bunch of sand that is completely unusable, and there's no way to fix it. It takes thousands of years to get soil back to the way that it needs to be to grow plants in it. So what this process of aquaponics is doing is it's actually not completely eliminating the necessity of soil, because of course soil is necessary. It contains many of the essential elements. In fact, it contains all of the essential elements that plants need. So your broken down granite mountain turns into soil, has all of the essential elements that your plant needs. One of the major elements that your plant needs is nitrogen. And what I've found is that fish, they extract or excrete ammonia. Now, ammonia is basically nitrogen, which is basically the one element that you need to add on a weekly basis to your plants. So when you add your old fish water from your fish tank, which weekly you need to remove a quarter of the water from your fish tank and replace it with good clean water in order to keep your fish healthy, because the fish don't like to live in their own ammonia. So taking that quarter of a tank of water and using it to feed your plants is a great way to supply your plants with organic matter and things like bacteria and things that are very helpful to your plant, such as nitrogen. So this is why I started this channel, and wanted to help teach people how to grow plants without soil. Because like I said, it doesn't completely eliminate the need for soil. We do need all of the things that are in soil, such as zinc and magnesium and manganese and iron, but those are all micronutrients. Like we don't really need a lot of them. We just need a tiny little bit of zinc for a plant to survive. Just a tiny little bit of manganese or magnesium. But we need a lot of nitrogen to feed a plant. That's what makes your plant green and lush. So if your plant is small and not growing very good and it's not green, you probably need to add some nitrogen. And a good source of that nitrogen can come from a fish tank. Not to mention the fact that if you eat fish, if you grow fish to eat, you can have two sources of food. You can have fruits and vegetables, you can have fish. But the main thing that I'm trying to show here is that if you grow your plant without soil, in other words, hydroponically, you can use a lot less of the world's very quickly depleting soil. So if you're growing outdoors in the soil and you're not adding organic matter, you're basically destroying what little bit of soil that we have in the world. So if you have a farm for years and years and years, eventually, if you don't add organic matter to your soil will be completely useless, your land will be worthless, and you won't be able to farm there anymore. In India, they have laws on this which make it a requirement that you have cows and animals on your farm. If you're going to farm vegetables and fruits in your farm, you must have cows and the like to add organic matter. There are solutions to not having animals on your farm. You can purchase organic matter. You go down to the store, you buy a bag of soil, and you add it to your land. You have to spend a lot of money doing that, whereas you could just have an animal pooping totally free. But anyway, this method right here allows you to use a little tiny bit of soil for the micronutrients and the other macronutrients that are in the soil. But very little is necessary. You could probably add a little handful to your water, and thereby allowing it to get those micronutrients that you need. And you could go to the store and buy fertilizer with nitrogen in it. Definitely an option if you want to do hydroponics. They do sell hydroponic fertilizers. They're like water soluble, and you just pour them in there. You can buy those at the store. But you can also just use a fish tank, and you get to look at your fish, or you can even grow some tilapia and eat your fish. But the main thing about this channel is that I wanted to show just how easy it is to grow hydroponics. I've seen a lot of videos on hydroponics where they have the roots completely covered so that light doesn't, so that the roots don't see the light. But as you can see, I just have a 5-gallon tote. You can purchase these 5-gallon totes at Lowe's or Home Depot. I've got a little bit of water in there, and depending on the size of your plant, you may need a smaller enclosure. You can use, they have little foam blocks that you can put your seedlings in and get them started. They have all kinds of different procedures for doing this, but the easiest thing that I've found for getting a plant growing hydroponically is to just take a 5-gallon tote like this and making sure that your roots are under the water and the plant is above the water. So simple as that. You can see that the plant is outside of the water, the roots are under the water, and basically, like I said, you do need nitrogen. You need to add some nitrogen. If you buy a plant from the store, from Home Depot or Lowe's, you take it out of the pot and you put your plant right into this tote. You add the water. That's all you need to do. You just add some water to the tote, cover up the roots with the water, and like I said, if you use the fish water from your fish tank, you already have a nice nitrogen source in there, because you bought it in a pot with some soil in there. You already have all of your